Hey there, how are you doing? Thanks for stopping by today. In today's video, I want to talk to you about this little guy right here. This little unassuming little thing that looks just like a gender changer. You can see here, it looks like it's a 25 pin, but it's actually female on this side, male on this side, and it's not 25 pin. Of course, 25 pin would be the old school parallel and serial ports. This thing being 23 pin is actually, those who know, is actually the Amiga external disk drive port. And therefore this is a Syncro Express II. It's a one-to-one disk duplication dongle effectively. This would plug into the back of the Amiga computer where the disk drive would plug in, and then you would plug in your external disk drive into this. And just if you're, somebody might off the top of their head be wondering, why would you want more than one disk drive anyway? Well, people would have more than one disk drive to make copying disks easier back then. But also, even if you weren't into copying, a lot of games came on like 3, 4, 5 disks or whatever, and you'd have to be swapping these disks in and out of the disk drives. And so if you had 2 or more disk drives and you could put those disks in there, there was a lot less disk swapping, which kind of was nice. But anyway, this guy, going back to this guy, this was a Syncro Express II from Datel Electronics. Datel is a British company that's still around today. They go work under the name Code Junkies, among others. Of course, I'm here in the States, and in North America, it was sold by Coast to Coast Technologies. Here you can see this. And I think that was just basically Datel's North American name and their Florida address there. I do have a question for you, though, like in case you might know, Syncro on here without the H, Syncro here with an H. I don't think that's the difference between just British and American English. I mean, is that a typo? Is it just why? If you know, let me know. I'm curious. Please leave a comment. But anyway, like I said, this thing was a one-to-one disc copying device. It sold for about $35, actually 35 pounds. And the 35 pounds with the exchange rate back then came out to more like 55 or 60 US dollars. The exchange rate was like 1.6, 1.7 back then. So, and we're talking 1989, 1990. So this thing is like 35, 36 years old. Kind of heck, I mean, vintage for sure, on its way to being an antique. That's pretty crazy. So, basically, what does this do? It lets us make a one-to-one disk copy. Like I said, you plug this into the Amiga, you plug the disk drive in, and if you've purchased a game, whatever that game is, you could then make a copy of that game and bypass the copy protection that they were trying to use to make it so that you could not copy it. So, of course, the argument was back then that, if I've paid whatever amount of dollars for this game, I'm entitled to have a backup of it because it's on this media, which is a media that's prone to failure and can get worn out, or damaged. And if I've paid whatever the number was, $40, $50, whatever for a game, I should be able to have a backup of my game. Well, in reality, was it more about that, or was it more about making copies for pirating purposes or exchanging with friends and family and whoever else? So the latter. I mean, it was used for both, but we're talking in the late 80s, early 90s, there was no internet. There were bulletin boards. Those of you who are familiar with those, where you could call in and you could even exchange some software on there sometimes. But more often than not, it was actually common to have user groups. So the groups of enthusiasts would get together. If you were Amiga fans or PC fans or Atari fans or whatever, there was usually a group in your area. Most large metro areas had these groups, and they would get together like monthly. Some more, maybe more or less frequently, but you get together and maybe at a pizza joint or something, and it would just be chatting about what's new. Talking about what's in the latest magazines. Who's got what software, and and more often than not, if somebody had something new piece of software, they'd be using these or other devices to try and duplicate it, to share it around with everybody else in the group, to either loan, swap, trade, whatever. So it is interesting that, as that was the #1 method for the time, that if you look at the ad actually says ideal for clubs, user groups, or just your own discs, which is kind of a nod saying we know what's really going on. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Not a long video. I do want to give a shout out to AtariMania.com. The images of the ads and the documentation came from their website. I appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm curious if you had one of these guys, a Syncro Express II or similar, or a competitive device, or a competitor device. Let me know. I'm curious what other ones are out there, or what other ones were similar to this. So yeah, leave a comment. I'd appreciate it. And I appreciate you for stopping by. And if you would, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you, and have a great day.